Okay, so, sorry, dog got in here. So, now that we're sat on the bike, okay, do not go into a presentation before the guy is sitting on the motorcycle, okay? He won't listen to you at all. Just think about it. You got a guy sitting there, he's like, I don't care what you're saying to me, I just want to sit on it. I don't care what you're saying to me, I just want to sit on it. Okay, he's ignoring you. He just pull it out, let him sit on it, take your time, okay? You'll see it, you'll know it, and it'll feel when you should start talking again, all right? And so often we start talking right away and we start going into it and blah, 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 blah. This is the bike, this is what it does, this is the bike, this is what it does, all right? So, when we talk about it, and the guy's sitting on the bike, you got it out of line, it's dusted off, he can sit on it. Then we go into the presentation, okay? That's the presentation time. Alright, so there's three things that go in part to make an effective presentation, alright? They're called FABs. Alright, everybody knows what two of them are. Alright, feature benefit. The middle one's where everybody messes up. It's FABs, feature, advantage, benefits. Alright? So a feature is what it has, what it is. Okay? This bike, so this is what it has, or in this case is. Okay? So, this is going to be, this bike has a windshield. This bike has fuel injection. This bike has anti-lock brakes. Okay? It's going to be the feature of the item. Alright? Then we come into advantage. The advantage is what does it do? Okay? So what it does. So this bike has a windshield. It blocks wind. Okay? This bike has fuel injection. It digitally injects the fuel as opposed to dumping it in. Okay? This bike has anti-lock brakes. Alright? Anti-lock brakes prevent your brakes from seizing when you grab it in an emergency situation. Alright? So, a lot of times the advantage can be described by what the feature is called. It's a windshield. It shields wind. It's fuel injected. It injects the fuel digitally. Okay? Has anti-lock brake system. Alright? It prevents the brakes from locking up. Make sense? The benefit then is going to be what it does for me. What does that do for me? Alright? Or what does it do better? So, this is going to be what, this one's a twofer, kind of. So, what it does for me, or what it does better. Kind of the same thing. Okay? What does one do better than the other? So, this bike has a windshield. Alright? The windshield blocks the wind. It blocks the wind, which allows me to ride in the rain, keep the wind off of my face, prevents bugs from hitting me. If I'm on a dirt road, I won't get little chips in my eyes. Okay? This bike is fuel injected. It injects fuel digitally and meters the amount of fuel that goes into it. Therefore, what it does for you, it allows it for easier cold starts in the colder climates. Because it's digitally injecting the fuel, you don't have to make carburetor adjustments when you hit higher altitudes. It does it automatically for you. This bike has anti-lock brakes. So, what an anti-lock brake system does is as the rotor's going through the caliper, if you have to hit the brakes in an emergency situation, the caliper will grab on, stopping your wheel abruptly, thus causing your tire to start skidding and put you in an emergency spot. So you're already in an emergency, you grab a handful of brakes, it locks up, your tire starts skidding, you're in an even worse situation because now you're screeching with it and you lose control. Anti-lock brakes prevent the brakes from locking. So it pulsates, therefore allowing you to continue rolling while stopping, putting you in an emergency. So in an emergency situation, you're not going to go skidding. Does that make sense? So, ABS, it prevents the brakes from locking up, therefore puts you in a safer position when you grab a handful of brake in an emergency situation. It provides you safety. Okay? So, feature, advantage, benefit. So, what will we do for this then? Actually, before we do that, let's talk about shopping. So recently, I actually just did this. I actually just bought a new MacBook. All right. So let's talk about that. When you're looking at a MacBook, all right. So this is my laptop. I'm sure it's these are the keys. That's the screen. So where's the Mac? There you go. So I want you to think about when I opened up that catalog and I started looking at Best Buy. Obviously, I started looking at some of the normal spots, the Best Buys, the Staples, places like that. And every time you open up that magazine, all it does is features, 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 features. This thing runs on 1.21 gigawatts. I don't even know what the hell a gigawatt is. All right, that's a Back to the Future joke. But anyway, so it runs on RAM and it runs on ROM and it runs on how many gigs of memory it has and what's the processor speed. And all they do is they list the high numbers. Well, this one's got a 2.4 processor. This one's got a 3.2. So 3.2 is clearly better. Check that off. Oh, but this has a better screen than this one because it has more megapixels. Okay, well, what does that mean for me? None of it makes sense. All right? Without the advantage of what that... I don't know what a gig is. I don't know what a gig does. So I certainly don't know what it does for me. I don't know what a megapixel is. So to tell me it has a 15 megapixel camera, okay. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that does. And I certainly don't know what it does to... How does that benefit me? How does that benefit my life? So these guys are feature creatures. They just list feature, 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 feature. Right? Then you get in there and you talk to the salesman in the computer shop, just starts cranking out features. Right? I don't know what it does. So, without the advantage of what it does and the benefit of what it does for me, you're just rattling off information. All right? Ultimately, when you start telling me that stuff, I'm oh, yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, fuel injection. Got it. Great. Anti-lock brakes. Yep, got it. Not a problem. Yep, this bike has dual overhead cam. It makes total sense. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it have dual overhead cam? So it just goes over people's heads. So if you don't tell them what it does and what the benefit is for them, and so often we just start rattling off information. All right? We rattle it off, but we don't tell them what it does and what it's going to do for them. All right? So this is the time we're going to break into an exercise. Going to get into groups about 3 or 4. All right? And we're going to go around the room and pick out inanimate objects. All right? We're going to talk about objects, and we're going to go over the feature, benefit of objects in the room. So we have a little list, and then we'll start picking some things out. I'm going to say bottle cap. This is the last time Tony did this. We did a bottle cap, the seconds hand on a clock. All right? A straw from a drink. Do ice. So we're going to go around the room, do feature. Those are the features. This is a drink. It has ice in it. The ice is the feature. Okay? This is a drink. It has a straw. The straw is the feature. This is a clock. I'm selling you a clock. It has a seconds hand. The seconds hand is the feature. Tell me what the advantage and the benefits are of each of those items. And then we'll go through and we'll do those group by group and get all their answers. Okay? Then we'll break up. We'll do an additional exercise. Go down to the actual showroom. Do this on motorcycles. All right? Motorcycles we'll go through. And again, try to get each and every person in the group to at least do one. This is the feature. It has shaft drive, or it has a windshield. It has ABS. It has inverted forks. It has a touchscreen navigation. All right? Then we'll do the feature, advantage, benefit of all those. Okay? So, another thing to consider when going over this. Now that we've practiced and we understand what fabs are, feature, advantage, and benefit, all right? Now we need to describe, how many do you use? What's the pinnacle? What's the peak? All right? So at some point, how many, when you're going through your presentation, at what point, if this is time, okay? This is time. How many benefits should you, how many fabs should you do? So let's call this the emotional high. All right. So as the emotions driving, time is going on. We want to keep them at a pinnacle peak. Okay. Generally, that's going to be about 3 to 4 FABs. Okay. Once you go over that peak, that emotional buying peak, what's going to happen there? This is where you want to be. All right, somewhere in here. But ultimately, if you could be at the peak. So, how do you know you're there? Once you, well, before you go past it, once you go past it, what the person's going to feel is they're going to start feeling like they're dumb. They're going to feel stupid. Similar to if you're telling me this thing has 1.21 gigawatts, I don't even know what the fuck a gigawatt is. I'm going to be past that point of feeling comfortable. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I have 1.21? So I'm going to start feeling dumb. Similar to this, you start rattling off information that I can't believe this thing has this much. Maybe now I'm getting intimidated. Now I'm feeling stupid because you're telling me about all these. Okay? So you can actually give me too many where I go over my emotional buying peak. So generally speaking, you want to stay in about 3 to 4 to be in that comfort zone of that buying peak once you hit that. How do you know you're there? How do you know you're in that range? You start watching for those buying signals. Okay? Well, does it come in any colors? That's a great question. Let's go sit down. All right? Does it? What kind of financing do they have? It's a great question. Let's go sit down. What's the price tag on this one? Well, that's a great question. Let's go sit down. All right? The other way, they start saying, good one. If they continue to keep walking back over that bike, remember we talked, you're going to have 2 to 3 options. But if they keep going back to that one, oh man, that's the one. All right? So if they're not presenting buying signals for you, try to fish them out a little bit. Start throwing out some trial closes, some soft closes. All right? So if you're not quite sure and you know you're in there, but you're afraid you're going to be pushing it over, but you keep talking, throw in a buying question. So what are your friends going to say when you come out with this bike this weekend? Are you planning on using it this weekend? Is this going to fit in your garage? What are your buddies at work going to say tomorrow? Do you need a helmet? Yeah? Do you need it delivered or are you going to ride home? Okay? So those are things to consider. All right? So once you go through that, again, 3 to 4, generally speaking, FABs. All right? At this point of the presentation, I'm probably going to go into Polk data. All right, this is off script. I'm going to go into Polk data, read that out, show how many times people are asked to buy, and then say, okay, if they're only asked, I forget what the numbers are offhand, but if they're only asked 47% of the time, yet it takes 5 times to sell a bike. And we're going to talk about that, and then that ultimately will lead us to the sit down.